There is a moment that happens in almost every home, every single morning. You walk into the kitchen, still slow with sleep, perhaps holding nothing but a half-empty mug of coffee, and your dog, the moment they see you, stops everything. Their eyes fix on your face, not on the food bowl, not on the door, not on the leash hanging by the wall, on your face. And they hold that gaze with something that feels almost unbearably close to devotion. Most people look at that moment and think they understand it completely. They smile, they reach down, they say something tender, and they carry that warmth through the rest of their morning. But what if everything you believe is happening in that moment is wrong? Not slightly wrong, not off by a degree or two. Fundamentally, biologically, evolutionarily wrong. What if your dog is not looking at you the way you look at another human being, because to your dog, you are not a human being at all? What your dog actually perceives when they look at you. Our face is something science has only recently begun to map with precision. And the answer is so layered, so ancient, and so staggeringly complex that it will permanently change the way you understand every quiet moment you share with this animal. Stay with this, because what you are about to learn is not a charming metaphor, it is neuroscience. The first thing to understand is that your dog does not experience you primarily through sight. Humans are a visual species. Our brains dedicate enormous neural real estate to processing what we see: color, depth, facial symmetry, micro-expressions. We recognize each other face to face. We fall in love with faces. We read character in faces. Your dog's brain is organized around an entirely different sensory hierarchy. Approximately 1/3 of a dog's entire cerebral cortex, 1/3, is devoted to the processing of scent. In pure structural terms, the olfactory processing region in a dog's brain is 40 times larger, proportionally, and the equivalent region in the human brain. Research emerging from the Sensory Neuroscience Laboratory at Florida State University and replicated through numerous ethological studies published in Applied Animal Behavior Science has demonstrated that a dog's nose does not simply detect odors the way you might detect the smell of rain or fresh bread. A dog's nose disaggregates the world. Where you smell a pot of soup, your dog smells every individual ingredient, every stage of cooking, the hand that stirred it, and the emotional state of the person standing over the stove. This is not poetic license. This is vomeronasal processing. The vomeronasal organ, also called Jacobson's organ, sits at the base of the nasal cavity and feeds information directly into the limbic system, the brain's ancient emotional and survival core. This organ processes chemical signals that carry no scent at all in the conventional sense. It reads pheromones, it reads cortisol, it reads oxytocin, it reads T. The invisible biochemical signature of your fear, your grief, your contentment, and your love, not as abstract emotional concepts, but as precise molecular data. When your dog presses their nose against your leg after a long and brutal day at work, they are not guessing that you are sad. They are reading the cortisol gradient in your skin. They know before you have spoken a word. Now consider what this means for how your dog actually categorizes you in their mind. Research conducted by Dr. Attila Andics and his colleagues at Eötvös, Loránd University in Budapest landmark work, published in the journal Science, used fMRI neuroimaging to scan the brains of dogs as they processed human voices, human scents, and human facial expressions. What the data revealed was both beautiful and humbling. Dogs process human emotional cues using the same neural architecture that humans use to process the emotional cues of other humans. The dog's brain has developed over 15,000 years of evolution, a specialized pathway for reading you, not for reading other dogs, for reading you specifically. And yet, this is the part that most people miss entirely. The category into which you fall inside a dog's cognitive map is not the category of human. The category is something older. Behavioral ecologist Dr. John Bradshaw, in his foundational work published through the University of Bristol, presents compelling evidence that dogs do not maintain a rigid conceptual distinction between themselves and the humans they are bonded to. Dogs do not perceive their social group through the lens of species identity. They perceive it through the lens of attachment, familiarity, and olfactory intimacy. You are not, to your dog, a human who has kindly taken them in. You are a member of their primary social unit, as intimate, as chemically recognizable, and as emotionally essential as any member of their own species could be. This explains behaviors that otherwise seem completely baffling. The left gaze bias, a phenomenon documented by researchers at the University of Lincoln, describes the tendency of dogs to look specifically to the left side of a human face when reading emotional expression. This is precisely the same gaze pattern that humans use when reading other human faces, because the right hemisphere of the human brain, which controls the left side of the face, tends to express more genuine involuntary emotion. Dogs have learned to read your face the way you read another person's face. They have learned the architecture of human emotional display. It explains Allo-Grooming, the gentle, rhythmic licking that dogs direct toward the people they are bonded to, which is neurologically and behaviorally identical to the social grooming behaviors that wolves and wild canids use exclusively with members of their own pack. Your dog is not licking you because you taste interesting. Your dog is maintaining the bond, reinforcing the chemical and social architecture of the relationship, doing, with great biological seriousness, the thing that keeps a pack coherent and alive. It explains why, when you leave the room, your dog does not simply wait for their caretaker to return. Studies measuring cortisol levels in dogs during oma separation research conducted in collaboration with Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences show hormonal stress responses during brief separations that are physiologically consistent with the responses social mammals show when separated from their primary attachment figures. Your dog is not being dramatic. Their nervous system is responding to the departure of someone whose absence represents, at the deepest evolutionary level, a potential threat to survival. You are, in the ancient biological language that your dog's brain still speaks, the center of their world, not because you feed them, not because you hold the leash, but because over 15 millennia, through the slow and extraordinary conversation of coevolution, the dog and the human shaped each other. Dogs grew neural pathways to read human faces. Humans grew the capacity to read canine intention. We built each other's emotional worlds, one generation at a time, until the bond became structural, written into the oxytocin response, the cortisol rhythm, the very architecture of how both species experience safety and belonging. When your dog looks at you in the early morning quiet, they are not seeing a human being the way a biologist classifies a human being. They are seeing the gravitational center of their known universe. They are seeing the scent they have mapped in more molecular detail than you will ever map their face. They are seeing home not as a place, but as a presence, as a living, breathing, chemically irreplaceable signal that everything is safe, and the world is whole, and the day can begin. That is not a lesser form of love than the kind humans exchange with one another. It may, in some ancient and wordless way, be a purer one. If this changed something in the way you understand the animal beside you, take a moment before you move on. Canine Mind and Care exists for exactly this, to replace the noise and the guesswork with the science, and to give you the deep, accurate, and beautiful picture of what is truly happening between you and your dog. Subscribe to this channel so that nothing we create together passes you by. And in the comments below, we would love to know, when is the moment in your life with your dog that you feel most certain they truly know you. Tell us, we will be reading every single one.